All right, we are live. Okay, let's go. Let's get this started. So, yeah, welcome to episode 19 of the Kava podcast. Really excited. Everybody out there that's watching this for the first time, I'm here. This is a special podcast for today. I'm joining today with some good special guests, with some good friends of mine. We're gonna have some great discussions. If you guys are watching this for the first time, my name is Will. I'm the founder and host of this show, of this podcast. I started this podcast. It's just a place for me to create a platform where people can come together and have open dialogue, have open conversations where they can share their stories, share their perspective, share their opinion, and we can have healthy discussions, talk about things that we go through in our lives, and without any criticism, judgment, just a safe place where people can come together and just in harmony and have good discussions. So, we do have some special guests. Before I let them introduce themselves real quick. If you guys watching this for the first time, my name is Will. I'm a proud Tongan. I was born in Australia, raised in Tonga, moved here to the US. I'm just out here just to trying to live the American dream and inspire, help other people and help my family and especially my family back in Tonga. So, but before we go into the topics, I'll let everybody else introduce themselves. And before we bring up the first topic, I'll ask Monica if you want to introduce yourself real quick, and then let the girls introduce themselves, and then Joe, you can finish it off, and then we'll get the podcast started. Go ahead. Monica, you want to introduce yourself real quick? Monica, unmute yourself.
Whoops, sorry. My bad. My name is Monica. I'm a native of San Mateo. I currently work at...
Yeah.
Is it all good now? Or can I continue?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I work for SFPD as a police aide, and I project coordinate for a small nonprofit based in San Mateo called Thou Lama. Yeah, that's it.
Sounds good. All right, for sure. Peti.
What's up, everybody? My name is Betty Green. I also go by Fetty G. I am 24 years old, coming out of Shoreview, California, and I am an actor and broadcaster.
Mali. All right. Joe.
Hey, I'm Joel Tokoma'ata, born in American Samoa. Came out here, same reason, American dream. My parents see that, and we're out here and we're ready to go.
Ready to go. All right, man. For sure. All right. Hey, you should put some light, man. It look like Matai Kaka, man. Well, you can't see your face. It's all good. All right, so let's get this podcast started. So the first topic I have, since we're all talking, I think there's a good topic that we can discuss, is being Tongan American. That's the first topic I want to start off this podcast real quick. So just to put it out there for you guys to kind of think about this. So what does it mean to be Tongan now, like to be a Tongan American? I know every culture, every race has a stereotype of what the traditional model of a person should be based on their culture, based on their ethnicity. So let's discuss about what people think when they say Tongan. But of course, all of us in this generation, we grew up we're all younger, and then I believe that Tongans is today in America, we're more expressive and more aware. We are more in touch with our mental health, with our thoughts, with our own voice. So there's a different mode of type of Tongan that's changing in our generation. That's kind of breaking the mold from the old traditional way, old traditional expectation or definition of what a Tongan should be. So we all grew up Tongan. So that's the first topic we want to discuss. What does it mean being a Tongan American today in your own perspective, opinion, your own experience in life? And I started off with Peti. What do you think?
I think being Tongan American, we're much more open-minded than those back in the islands. And I think it has to do a lot with self-identity, how you identify yourself. we are all Tongan, but not a lot of Tongans here in America claim their Tongan side. They would just claim wherever they're from. So, you know, I know a Samoan guy from EPA, and I always call him Uso. You know, we call each other Tokos, call each other Uso. So I'll be like, "What's up,
Yeah.
Us?" But he doesn't prefer that name. He prefers to call himself Rogue, because Rogue is it's a name. If you're from EPA, that's what they call each other, kind of like a bro. So he identifies as a Rogue instead of a Uso. So I think being American Tongan, you know, we definitely deal with this American lifestyle that islanders don't deal with. Our parents came from the islands, from dirt, you know, nature, all loving. And then we come to America and they put guns in their sons' hands. They put drugs in their hands. They give them this whole American lifestyle that islanders are not, we're just not used to, you know, that's not us. And one of the main things that it's part of it is the street life, you know. Tongans out here are saying nigga. We ain't black, but we out here saying nigga. We're out here saying the N-word. So being American Tongan, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. And I think it's just us trying to really figure out who we are in America as a Tongan, especially as a female. There's a lot of standards we need to live up to. And it's one day at a time.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying on that, and I agree. And there's also like how they grew up too. You know, it's the area that they grew up. You know, it's also just like the Migos. You know what I mean? You hear the Migos saying the N-word all the time, but you know they're not. You know, they're not black. You know, it's also like the environment that they grow up in. Like I moved out here, you know, and I kind of got into the lifestyle, and you know, like trying to fit in and trying to blend in with my environment, you know, that kind of like, you know, shifted my way of thinking as well, and my way of going out, you know, going about my life, you know, out here in Oakland. Like I used to speak pidgin all the time, like, oh, Sapara, you know what I mean? Like, cause I came from the islands, I came from Hawaii. So I had that thick accent coming out here, and then, you know, just realizing, you know, that wasn't cool, and like, you know, you're constantly getting made fun of and stuff like that. You kind of have to like change up, or like kind of like reinvent yourself a little bit just to kind of fit in with everybody, you know. So, you know, you kind of pick up on the slangs and all of that, you know. It's not always no Saba. It's, you know, it's the N word now, you know. It's just, you know, it depends on the environment that you're in, I guess. You know, coming from the islands is different. You know, I see some of the you know, some of the fobs that are coming from the islands, they're trying to fit in too. And they're trying to change their lifestyle to try to fit their environment, because they don't want to be, you know, be judged because of the way they speak or the way, you know, they act, or, you know, because like growing up, they probably didn't care about, you know, the way they dress or the way they talk, you know. And then coming out here is a really judgmental area, you know, being American, you know, and it's different. It's a whole different vibe when you come into somewhere new. So like, you know, I guess trying to find your identity also has to do with your environment, where you're staying at now, you know, how things are run now, you know, how people are thinking in this part of society, you know, versus being back there in the islands. And I think we just lost Will. I don't know. But should we just like wait a little bit? Because but I feel like it's also has to do with our environment and where we're growing up at. Because I know in different parts of the U.S., not every Tongan is the same. You know what I mean? I know a few Tongans in like Idaho, or, you know, Washington, you know, Oregon, You know, they all live a different lifestyle. You know, you expect them, you know, to be a certain way, but when
Are we good? Are we live again?
we're laughing, we're laughing.
All right. Yeah, Monica, do you want to jump in? I know you haven't got a chance to say something
Sure.
on the last topic.
Yeah. What does it mean to be Tongan? Tongan American. You know, I don't know, it's weird because I've lived in Washington and then I've lived here. And when I was in Washington, even when I travel outside of different states, if you don't know what Tongans are, one, because we're very small, under 1%, actually below 1%. Polynesians in general is that 1%. So
Yep.
they'll mistaken you for somebody else or for something else. You know, I usually get mistaken for some type of African American or mixed or whatnot. And I don't know, being Tongan American is just we're kind of just out here and really small. And so in the states where there's not many Polynesians, you know, they'll ask me, "Oh, what are what are you?" And I'll say what I am, and they'll be like, "Okay, you know, what is that?" So,
Yeah.
you know, it's confusing, I think. I think that most of us are out here and trying to find ourselves in other cultures, you know, and that's normal. I mean, we're so small, right? So it just makes sense that, you know, some of us gravitate towards one place, others gravitate towards another. To me, race is political because I think I've mentioned that before on your podcast. Race is political. Why is it political? Because I've met people in my life that are from totally different region of the planet that look like they could be like my first cousin or some shit. You know, so I know it is political.
Yeah.
I know it is. But our society now, we base it on it. We base everything on it. It makes us feel more comfortable if we know what that person is. You know, if we don't know what race that person is, then we can't stereotype them to feel like we will know who they are. I don't know if that makes sense. But people do it all the time. So being Tongan, I was raised by a single mother. So honestly, like being Tongan American I don't know if that was ever accepted in our culture, you know. So all I can say is, you know, be who you are, regardless. It sucks though, because like sometimes when I'm around Tongan or Islander people, you know, they'll expect me to think a certain way. And that just wasn't my environment. I'm not gonna like pretend that it was. So, you know, I think that your character should, you know, you should.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable sometimes?
Huh? Does it make me feel uncomfortable? No, because I
No,
already
say
expect it.
when you're around Tongans and then they have that.
They have that, you know, if they ask you like what's your, you know, who your parents are, you know, and I'll have to tell them, and they'll look at me like I'm strange because I take my mom's last name. But you know, that's based off of Christianity belief. We don't really know what we were before that, so I can't really say that's how we are. That's our culture. We feel that way because really, I really don't know what our culture was before Christianity came to the island. So I can't really sit here and say it's our culture to feel that way, or to feel like there's there's certain rules to our culture, because a lot of those rules have been, you know, switched up, you know, when the missionaries came to Tokoma. But none of us ever really asked that question, because it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my point.
That was good. So no, I think for just listening to everybody, I think the biggest words I heard was like self-identity, Monica said, I know that's what Peti said, and then Monica, you said being yourself. I think for me is like because I know I think all you guys were all born and raised in America. But of course, I grew up in Tonga, then I moved here. I think one of the hardest things I think you guys all said was just self-identity, trying to figure out what does it mean of being Tongan, right? Because I remember when I first came into this country, I'm fascinated by American culture, and I love American culture. That's why that was always my dream to move out here. So when I got here, I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with the vision.
Mm-hmm.
I love the opportunity that's here. I started hanging around other cultures, the Ba'alangis, and just listening to, different perspectives towards life and different ways of thinking. Like you said, Monica, there's a different ways of thinking. And that's for me, for being myself, I was more attracted to that. But there was a part of me that felt like that I had to stay Tongan, like just that Tongan mentality and just be like everybody else. So because that was like my pride, that I felt like there's something inside of me that made me feel like that I didn't want to lose my Tongan side, and also just to please the people, my friends and my family, that I wasn't too Ba'alangi or too American, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized, look, this is who I am. And then, I know there's a traditional mode of what they expect Tongans to do, but I realized that, being Tongan American is just, I think Joe said, your environment plays a big part, not only of the culture, but your personality. So if you grew up in a certain area, whatever music and culture and you grew up in, that's going to be a part of your personality.
Oh yeah.
And the way you dress, the way you think, the way you speak, and then that culture you grew up in, that personality you develop may not be the same personality as the old Islander, traditional Islander mentality. And I think that's what the struggle is for a lot of people and for a lot of kids that grow up here, trying to please their parents or be that Tongan boy and girl, traditional Tongan boy and girl. But the thing is, their personality is different, if that makes sense. What do you guys think?
I think it's just I think it's interesting because, like I said before, like, just in history itself, when missionaries came to Tonga, things started to change. Our culture has been somewhat molded in a sense, right? So, for me to say that, that these people, if a group of people are saying that this is the way Tongans are, right? I don't know if I can actually believe that. I don't know if I can believe that. And I'm always going to question it. Why? Because that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's my nature. I question everything. So, if somebody were to tell me, like, before, the missionaries came, this is what we did, then I can research it and I can say whether that's true or not. But that's just me.
Yeah.
This is my opinion, and this is a safe place to say my opinion. And people may not agree, and that's okay. But that's what I'm going to say right now. Is it's hard for me to say that, what other people do, it's a social contract. Like, what other people do, just because I don't do what they're doing, right? Is that really what our ancestors did before that, right? Is that? I don't know. We have to question that. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Let me ask everybody real quick. What? Go ahead. Go, Joe. You want to say something?
I was just gonna add on to what you guys was talking about, like, the Christianity and, like, not knowing, like, what we were before, is that's when, like, the stories come in. You know what I mean? Like, the stories that our parents tell us, the stories that we grew up on. Like, I know there's a cool story about the missionaries that came to Tonga and baptizing the first king, and the king doubted, like, everything that the missionaries were saying, doubted his God, doubted, what he believed in. So the king took him out, on a ship, took him out into the middle of the ocean, and then told him, this is my God right here. He's swimming around you. and tossed them in there. And he said, if your God is really stronger than my God, you know, then he wouldn't eat you. You know what I mean? And it's funny because like every time I think about like, you know, our like who we were before, I keep going back to the Moana movie. I keep going back to the Moana movie when when they gotta go find the hardest, what was it, Tafiti or something like that. So like it kind of takes me back to that, and like it's cool to hear like those stories, and then that kind of like, you know, solidify like some of our past as well, you know, of how we, you know, how we came to be as we are today. You know, there's those stories that, you know, our grandparents tell us, the story that our parents are still trying to tell us, you know, and it's good for us to pass that down as well, you know, to, you know, not just, you know, just because we live out here in America, it doesn't mean like we can't know our history and we can't know, you know, who we are, you know, at the root, at the source, you know. And, you know, those stories are crazy, you know. They have a lot of those stories in Tonga where, you know, they believe in like demigods and all these things. And just hearing that one story about, you know, how the first king got baptized because, you know, the missionary survived, you know, being tossed into the water full of sharks, you know, and he swimming back to shore and told him, you know, I'm alive, I'm here, you know, you got to keep your promise now. We got to baptize you. So that's one of the cool things about our history too, as Tongans, and, you know, knowing who we are, you know, as a people, and that always sticks with me too, and how loyal we are too as a people, you know, and keeping our promises. You know, the king didn't have to get baptized. You know, he could have just said, you know what, forget you. You know, I'll toss you somewhere else and have them eat you over there. You know, but, you know, being who we are and being the friendly islands, you know, we keep to our word and our promises. And that's a cool thing about our culture, you know, and the people that we are is, you know, we're loyal people, and we're and I'm proud of that. You know, I'm proud, you know, to be Tongan. You know, I'm also proud to be American. I mean, I'm out here, you know, this is no other place than America, you know, and there's no place better for opportunity and for freedom than, you know, where we are right now. You know, you can't do what we do here other, you know, any place else. So I feel like, you know, in a way, our culture is kind of like interchanging, and it's constantly evolving. But, you know, going back to our root and like hearing those stories and passing those stories on, and reminding our future generations that, you know, who we are as a people, you know. And I feel like that will also, you know, help out as, you know, as we grow as a people here in this country.
Yeah, when I think of the word Tongan American, you know, yeah. When I think of the word Tongan American, for me, you know, I mean, you know, can you guys hear me? You guys hear me? Yeah. You guys all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you, Will.
Okay. No, when I think of the okay, so now I want to make sure I didn't fall off. No, when I think of the word Tongan American, you know, what Tongan American means to me, you know, when I think of America, I think of the history of America, where people, you know, immigrants came into America and they wanted to start a new life and a new beginning, and lived, you know, and build out their own destiny and live out their own life, you know, their own dreams. So to me, I feel like being Tongan American means that we're, you know, we're still proud Tongans, but we're more focused on our own individuality and our own uniqueness of what makes us unique. You know, I'm Tongan. I'm a proud Tongan. I'm a straight fob. I have my fob tendencies. You know, I still dress like a fob sometimes. I mean, that's how I was raised and comfortable with. But I'm also aware of my own unique thoughts and perspective and desires and things I want to do for my life that may be outside the realm of what, you know, traditional and what most Tongans do. And I think that's what I believe what a Tongan American is we're still proud Tongan. You know, we love our culture, we love our people, but at the same time, we're like Joe said, we're American. So like, you know, we have our own mindset. We're more outspoken. We have our own opinions of how we see things. And I think that's what Tongan American means to me is like, you know, is breaking the mold of breaking the expectations of, you know, what people expect of us, how we should live our life and how we should do things, how should we pursue, you know, and do certain things in the way we live our life, but just being ourselves. So I wanted to ask everybody, and I want to start with the girls too, because I know boys and girls, when you guys were growing up, what was the type of person that your family or people that wanted you? I'm just interested to hear that different perspective. And I want to start out with Peti. Like, you know, when you were growing up, you know, what did your parents expect you and want you to, you know, turn out to be? What wanted you to be, and kind of compare it to the person you are now. I want to talk about that real quick. Peti?
Okay. Well, that's pretty. Oh, I'm good.
Yep. I can hear you. Yep.
It's a pretty simple answer. My parents just wanted me to be successful, have a really good future. It's more of my mom specifically. She really wanted me to be this angalele girl, always going to church, doing Tongan daughter things, which is just like, you know, when people are coming over, make them some tea, do the bread and the butter, and just certain things like that. Today, you know, I'm still pursuing my education. And like, you know, that's something my parents wanted. I'm still trying to get my life together. That's something what they wanted. But it's just like my mom's expectations for me. She doesn't like the fact, well, I smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoke marijuana. And my mom doesn't like the fact. She like, there's some times where some older Tongan women would see me smoking and they would go tell my mom, like, hey, I seen your daughter doing this. And then my mom would come to me and she'd be so mad. She's like, someone came up and talked to you about me. And I'm, you know, it's just me and my mom's relationship. I'm trying to get, you have to care because that's your daughter and you want to protect her and don't want anybody to judge her or say anything about her. So that's the only expectation. It's just my mom trying to make me this like angalele Tongan girl, but like I'm not. That's it.
Well, I mean, you still have a lily though, right?
Yeah, of course. You know, I think that's the Tongan in us, you know, the hospitality person. Yeah. But it's just the other stuff that I can't. I don't drink. Hey, woohoo. But it's just like we shouldn't judge each other if we do that stuff, you know?
Yeah. Does there when your mom, like I know sometimes there's Tongan women, you know, like oh damn, I just lost my train of thought. Dang. My bad, guys. I had a question. Had a good question I was just gonna ask you. It's okay. And it just lost my mind.
And it's also.
Hey, so Monica, go ahead.
No, I was just saying my wardrobe too. It's not very up to my mother's standards. Like if we go to
gotcha.
We're supposed to like wear dresses and stuff. I'm always wearing pants. And then I told you before, like I'm very immodest. I love showing skin.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way,
that was my question. So I know we shared it last time. Like you're really expressive. You like to put yourself out there. So was that hard for you when you growing up? Was that one of the expectations they expected you to do to cover up and?
Yeah, just the wardrobe wise.
And then you had to. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Monica?
I think
when you were growing up.
So just growing up, single parent home, with my mom and her mom, my grandma, they just needed me to do well. They just was like, my mom's very straightforward. She's a very straightforward woman. I respect her for that. I learned so much from her from being that, but she just was like, you just need to come up in the world because the world's unfriendly. It's very unfriendly, and
Yeah.
if you don't come up, nobody's gonna bring you up. So, you know, with that being said, it always stayed through me throughout like years growing up and stuff. Like I was just always trying to climb. And with, I think with just Tongan girls in general, with like my other cousins that I know are female and, you know, live in a household where, you know, they have both Tongan parents, like there's a lot of pressure there, you know, and I hella get that. And I think with my mom and my grandma, they were just like, you know, like you gotta like make the right decisions. If you don't make the right decisions, you know, they're gonna lock you up. Straight up. You're gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
You're gonna get pregnant and you're not gonna succeed. It was just like one of those three. So it wasn't really like I have these, you know, these aspirations for you. It was just like they're pretty much just warning me of like what can happen if I don't. So, you know, and that's a lot of pressure, but it made me better. So, but I always remember my mom being like, you know, we'll like pass by a lady that's like, you know, homeless or something. And she'll be like, see, that's what's gonna happen. If you don't get your shit together, there you go. Maybe it was the time, I don't know. Maybe it was her, or maybe she's just like my grandma, because my grandma just the same way. Because right after my grandma would say that to me, she'd go and give the lady on the street $5. See, this is what happen if you don't put it together. And honestly, what can I say about that? I mean, there's a lot of pressure, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm thankful. Like I can't not be thankful for the truth in a sense, only because I know the statistics of women of color, you know, and I am considered in America, yes, I'm Tongan, but in America, I am considered a woman of color.
Yeah, we're all still colored people at the end of the day.
Yeah. You know, if you walk, you know, so a lot of people don't know what Tongans are. We're very, very unique people. So when you say that, when you say, oh, I'm Tongan, they're like, oh, that's very unique. But for some of us, not all of us, because we all look different. Tongans were just a hybrid of people. We look all different types, you know. But for myself, yeah, that's kind of how it was. So, you know, yeah. But that's me.
Yep. Hey, Fetty, did you want to add to that? I saw you posted a comment about the pregnancy. Did you want to add to that, Fetty?
I was just telling Monica, how could I forget? Our parents did not want us to get pregnant. That was one of the number one things a Tongan parent doesn't want for their daughter is for her to get knocked up, especially if she's not even married or if she's hella young. That's what it is. And I just wanted.
I know, but no, it's funny that it's funny you said that. But then it's funny when you really look at like a lot of the Tongan families, most of us we have like 6, 7, 8 kids, and our parents had kids really young. So I just find it funny when they tell us like, hey, don't have children early, but then they're like, it's like that's happening all over, every family. So Joe, what are your thoughts, man? When you were growing up,
my thoughts about expectations. Well, it's kind of different with boys, in the family. A lot of us get treated like little princess, and it's
that's true.
It's funny.
Right, that's true.
It's funny because like girls get treated differently. I guess it's I don't know. I guess it's because the mom understands what what goes on around. I guess they just don't want to get talked about. I guess I don't know what it is, but boys get treated differently, like really differently from the girls. I know growing up, my sister was like, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't go here. Sometimes my mom, she checks up on me, but like I'm constantly like doing stuff, and going out and stuff like that, and it's not really like a big issue. You know what I mean? As if for the girls to go out and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess they, I know like you guys are talking about pregnancy too, um, and like families having like all their daughters and stuff like that just getting pregnant out of nowhere, and it's crazy, and I guess like our parents sometimes don't want us to be in that statistic too, to where a lot of our daughters are getting pregnant off of wedlock, you know what I mean, and not really planning, to start a family and stuff like that. So I kind of understand from that point of view, but I feel like if you were to like lock your kids up, eventually they'll be curious, and it's gonna get, out of control, and it's human nature to be out there and explore, do just being curious and exploring new things and stuff, and locking kids up is not, it's not always it's always a good thing, and you see it everywhere. You think like um the most perfect girl out there is doing the right thing. Next minute, she's over here at the bar, and you see her and you're like, oh, okay. And then there goes there goes the angel, there goes the halo. And the guys see a lot of that stuff because we're usually the ones that's like always out there, and then when we see that, you're just like, oh, so I guess what I heard is different from what I see, you know what I mean? And it also comes down to what they probably experienced a lot of this stuff, and they were probably being judged when they were younger too, on how to dress and how to I guess how to live their life. It's not, I don't know, it's not a simple thing to dissect, you know what I mean? Because you can always do something differently, but it doesn't always end up the way you planned it, you know. So always plan for the worst, but I guess with our Tongan cultures, it's hard for parents to let go of their daughters, knowing that they gotta choose the right husband, be the successful woman and stuff like that. All they want for the boys is to work and be able to start a family, pretty much. That's pretty much
Yeah.
all the expectations I'm getting is, a lot of it is just marriage. When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna, that girl that you're bringing around, when are you gonna, introduce her, stuff like that. And the expectation for guys are a lot different from the girls, and I can't speak on how the girls feel, you know what I mean. I have a sister and all that, and it's and I see it too. It's different, the way they're treated and the way we're treated. They're supposed to be on top of everything, making sure that the home is a home, and making sure that wherever they go that they are dressed properly, and that they you know, present themselves well. You know what I mean? That they dress well and stuff like that. Well, for the boys, we just gotta, we can just put on whatever and just head out. And we're not really being tracked like that. And it's almost like, um, you know, I don't know. I guess the boys are just different. We're just different. We're just different. We just do whatever we want. But yeah, I guess that's how it is with our with the culture. But that's some good points with the girls. I really see that around. The expectations for you guys to be perfect and stuff like that. It's not always a good thing. But sometimes you just got to take the good and kind of leave out some of the bad. Guess that's it.
Yeah. I mean, just to end off on this topic, I think the one thing I kind of do notice in the Tongan cultures is, our parents, they use their kids as their way to, that's like their, because we're so worried about what people think and keeping up with the Joneses. So like, our parents use us, their kids, as their way of defining if they're doing well in life. If your kids are doing well, that means their family's doing well. If the kids are doing bad, then that means their family is doing bad. So that's why I feel like there's a lot of pressure, and I do notice there's more pressure to the girls more than the guys. Just in my experience, and my sisters had a lot of pressure, but for me, my parents just let me do my own thing. So let's kind of move on to the next topic. So this is gonna be a good topic. I'm kind of interested to see what everybody's thoughts on this, and let's try to keep it, make sure this is a nice debate, a healthy debate. But I wanted to talk about the election. Here's a topic that Joe brought up. So, what are your thoughts about the election? I know Biden just became the president of the United States. What are your reactions to it? What do you guys think? Your thoughts about, Trump. I don't know if you guys are Republicans or Democrats, but just your reaction to Biden became president, and what way you think that this country's headed, and of all these things just floating around, especially the elections, especially people, and especially the things that we deal in America, all these racist people and everything's going on regarding the election. So, Joe, since it was your topic, so I want to start off with you. What's your reaction to the election and Biden becoming president?
Biden becoming president, I mean, it's not decided yet. We got to wait till January, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be president. Well, I just hope that, his policies and everything that he's talking about, actually goes through. I hope that, he keeps the promises that he's going to make to kind of benefit our country and stuff like that, because like I kind of did some research on like both of the candidates and stuff like that, and their track record and all of that. I mean, for me, to be honest, like I didn't agree with a lot of Biden's his policies and stuff like that. I mean, he's gonna be the president, so I might as well be on track with it and kind of What's
the biggest policy they don't like about Biden? What's the biggest thing that you don't like about it?
Well, the taxes. I mean, I've seen his tax plan, and then taxing the wealthy and stuff like that. It kind of demeans us from even trying to climb up that ladder of success. Because I know they're 40,000. Like if you make over, I guess 40,000 or something like that, you get taxed a lot. So that kind of stops a lot of people from trying to start a business, especially if you're trying to make those quotas to try and try to get your business to jumpstart. I mean, I don't know, we gotta see where it actually is, because right now it's just everything is just said. You know what I mean? It's not in writing, or it's not actual it's not passed yet, so none of these tax laws are passed yet, so we got to see what it is. But I did some research, and then it's I guess if you're making for the big businesses and stuff like that, they were taxing them. They're going to tax them 60% of what they make. So if you're making $1 million a year, 60%, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. I don't know how businesses will be able to strive, where they're at, if they're getting taxed in that state that much. You know what I mean? So, the tax plan, I don't know if they're going to revise that. Hopefully they do. I think we need a lot of innovation in this country. We need, a lot of free thinkers out here. And I feel like those tax numbers are going to are going to take a toll on people that's trying to start up businesses as well. I think another one of his I think it's like the Green New Deal or something like that. He said he wasn't with that plan, and then he said he was with that plan. So I don't know at this point, but he is going to be president. So hopefully some good come out of it. I'm hoping for the best. I'm not saying that he's going to be a terrible president, but I just hope that he does take charge and actually help the country out.
For sure. How about you, Monica? What were your thoughts when Biden became president and Trump's no longer here no more?
All right. So, all right. Between Trump and Biden, what they're asking America to do is to pick their poison. That's what they're asking America to do. Please pick your poison and make sure that you pick whichever one you really, really want, because at the end of the day, they don't go good for any of us. At the end of the day. In 1981, Biden was against abortion, whether it was for rape or incest or whatever. So, and a whole lot of other things that I'm not going to mention, but I'm going to mention that first and foremost, because that's the most important one to mention. So he's not trustworthy. A lot of the times we as a society only see media. That media controls everything we see. Do I like Trump? Absolutely not. Why would I? Why? No, never. One, because he's vocal about who he is, right? So basically you're asking me to pick between somebody who is vocally racist and somebody who is non-vocally racist. And so really it's really hard for me to tell people to do certain things because one, society, even our society at most, are not interested in really doing the research on Congress. So Congress, it has nothing to do with presidency. Whether you're the president or not, you don't actually roll over the propositions or policies that get passed. Congress does. And that's very important for people to know. But they don't teach you this in high school. Why they don't teach you this in high school? Because most of us are from, low middle class to low income. And hello, Bay Area, if you make in 2010, if you made under 100K, you were considered low income. That's a Bay Area for you, okay? And that's the reality of it. And it's a very sad reality because now it's 10 years later, it's 2020. So how high do you think that 100K has gone higher? It's gone. It definitely hasn't gone any lower. So it's it's a very serious thing, but it's also we have to let people understand that it's a capitalistic country. Like everything is business. Everything is, bringing in money, taking out money. So if you're, going to move to America to build a business, understand that you don't have healthcare to back you up. Okay. You don't have a lot of the essential things that can support you when you're out here. I think that the American dream is a dream. It's a dream, but it's also a harsh reality. So you can make it, but you just don't know. It's numbers, it's probability, it's everything, it's statistics, and so that's what I think about it. They just want us to pick our poison. So, it's up to y'all, A or B. Don't know what you picked, but they're both bad.
Did you vote? Did you vote, Monica?
I will have to keep that in disclosure. Definitely not gonna let y'all know that's my own. Thank you.
No, No, I didn't. No, no, I didn't say which you picked. I said, did you vote this year?
I will keep that in disclosure. Thank you.
Oh, okay. It's all good. It's all good. All right, you, Fetty? What's your thoughts, reaction?
I find it very important to educate yourself about what's going on in the country and especially your state, just because it has a huge impact on your life. But I have no comment for this year's election. No comment.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Keep it neutral. Keep it neutral. Smart woman. All right. No, yes, I think no, it'd be interesting to see. For me, I mean, I don't really pay attention to politics that much. I kind of just let politics let it be and just kind of focus on what I gotta do for myself. But one thing I did listen to, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, and they talk about politics. And one thing they say about Biden is, I think his policies of things, the laws he tries to pass is more, more moving into being a socialism, where with the government is going to be more control of businesses and regulations, and kind of limit economic growth for a lot of people. So that's one thing I'm gonna pay attention to a little bit more for myself, just regarding Biden. And for me, I just trying to make live a dream and make a life in America. I don't want to. It would be hard. I don't want to be under a government that tries to kind of like limit my growth.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I focus on. As long as it's a free capitalism world economy where people are free to come here to this country and they can create their own wealth and take care of their own family. I'm all about that. But we'll see. We'll see where these next 4 years go. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Anybody any last thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, like you said about like like what Biden used to, like Biden brought up, and what Monica is saying about picking your poison. We do, we do have to pick our poison every election. We don't always have the best candidate, running for president and stuff. To me, I'm doing my own research and stuff like that on the candidates, and really going back on their track record, and seeing what what they've actually done in the past. A lot of people call Trump out on his on being racist and being outspoken about being racist and stuff like that. I kind of like take a different side on that, because before the election, before he was even elected in 2016, he was, nobody was talking about him being a racist. There was nothing, about him being a racist or anything, and then when he ran for president, all of a sudden he's racist. All of a sudden he's, xenophobic, homophobic, or whatever, phobia that he has with the, the community. And I feel like the media is kind of like turning stuff to their own ideas. Whereas in somebody who's actually, was being racist versus someone who, just out of nowhere, being called a racist and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess like picking our poison is kind of like, it's kind of like a different way of seeing it. I feel like, going off of the policies and seeing what they actually done for the country, you kind of have to look at that versus, what the person says. I mean, Trump doesn't have, the best way of saying things. He doesn't say things, the right way. He's not politically correct about a lot of things, but, I'd rather have somebody who's straightforward, with the country, and is telling you, straightforward what is going on and stuff like that, versus somebody who's, constantly changing what they gotta say and what they what they were thinking. You know what I mean? And then watching this election, months and stuff like that, a lot of stuff about Joe Biden came up. Even Kamala Harris herself said some stuff about him. You know what I mean? When in the presidential debate before, in the I think it's the Democratic their Democratic debate. And a lot of stuff about Joe Biden came up as being racist, actually being racist, versus Trump, being getting awards from Black communities, and and being in rap songs. Like everybody wanted to be like Trump. You know what I mean? That was like the American dream, was to be successful as he is. To come up from to America from a different country and actually making something of yourself out here. It's I don't know. I guess the media kind of paints people the way that they want to paint them versus how they really are. But it's just something that we should take a look into. I don't know. You can do your own your own study on it and stuff like that. Do your own research on the person. But all I know is we had the lowest unemployment rate for everyone. This past 4 years. Economy's been booming. We're exporting now instead of importing everything. We're actually opening up factories, warehouses. We're actually, are leading in the economy right now. I mean, we've kind of declined because of this pandemic, but we were really growing. And I feel like, that's a big step for the next president to, there's some big shoes to fill for the next president to come in, is actually keeping up with the economy and actually and actually stepping in to do that, and also what Will said about being a socialist country. There's nowhere in the world where socialism even works. Nowhere in the world. I mean, we have Venezuela, we have Cuba, who's are socialist countries, and it's like, it's crazy when people actually go out there. It's like the government controls everything. People are not getting enough food. They're not making enough money. There's no jobs. I mean, you get free healthcare. You live there. You get free housing and all of that. But where's the economy coming from? Where's all of that? Where's all of that coming from? Where's all that money coming from to pay for all of that? Free healthcare, free schooling. Somebody's got to pay for it. And if they can't reach into, these big businesses and taxing them all these money, who else are they going to reach to other than all of us, the middle class, the lower class? You know what I mean? So it's something that we got to look into. If you're really like into economy and stuff like that, and really look into to our future pretty much in the U.S. Because if
Got you.
we're just picking our poison, we're just picking blindly, as really.
Hey, Monica, do you want to respond to that? Did you want something to say?
I do. Oh, I thought I had my mute on. Never mind. Okay, so I understand that. But I also understand that there are a lot of Hispanics that are locked up with children not being with their parents, even babies right now.
You're talking about like the border?
I think that the economy is where it's at, but what about the folks that were here? It's bad for us to just disregard them. Like, it's bad for us to just feel like they should be caged up, locked up, and then sent away. Even these kids that are not even with their parents, like, to me that's not good. I get it. It's about us, but I don't feel like parents should be taken away from their own parents, locked in cages, and transported somewhere else. I think that they need to be with their parents. There should have been other steps taken in order for these kids, them to be transported out back to Mexico. Right. Like nicely, like not like we're just gonna just throw people in cages, transport them out any other way that they can. For me, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm not a humanitarian, but I am in a sense because I don't think that's right. I'm not Hispanic, but I don't feel like this population of people that's been here working jobs that nobody else wants to work should be treated that way, whether they came to this country illegal or not. Because the truth is, the only people that are native to this country are Native American. And I don't know where they are, because honestly, their population decreased to our population. Actually, they're a little higher. It's about 4%. So we have to take that into consideration. And I think it's heartbreaking. I don't know. I think that there should have been other precautions taken to make sure that these folks are transported correctly, not incorrectly. I think that people have an opinion about how this country should be ran. There's a lot of poverty in this country, but here's the thing. I mean, a lot of people that are in poverty in this country are still eating. Like they're still eating. But I am against that. And here's the thing about the Republican Party and Democratic Party is when you're Republican, they sell you on a dream. They sell you on a dream that everybody who works hard on a business or whatnot will be a part of this 1%. But when you're a Democratic Party, they only vouch for the 10%. Why? Because a lot of people in the Democratic Party are they are lured in by corporations, large corporations. Like I'm talking about Cisco, I'm talking about Foster Farms, right? To do the things that they want to be passed. All right. And so this is why I'm saying that when they vote for presidency, it really isn't about the presidency, it's about Congress. Nobody cares, so they know that's out the door. It's really about picking towards the 1% and the 10%. And so I get why most people will veer towards the 10%, but the 10% party, which is the Democratic Party, is killing you as much as the 1%. Why? Because these corporations are the chicken that you eat at home. It's the fast food that you got something to eat at. It's killing you slowly, but it's not killing you right away. It's just creating more chronic disease. And so that's my 1%. I mean, that's my percentage into this conversation. It's very small, but that's what I will tell you of what I know.
Yeah, just to go off of what Monica said about all the Hispanics are being locked up. I understand. I've seen the news and stuff like that about being locked in cages and stuff like that. I know it's not humanitarian. I don't agree with that either. I don't agree with kids coming over the border, and having to be put in cages because they're not here legally, and then it's heartbreaking to see that. I don't ever want to see anybody's family go through that. You know what I mean? And it's really sad. But you also have to understand that a lot of these people are coming in with coyotes. They're coming in with people who are smuggling drugs and stuff at some time. They're not even with their family. And there's a reason why they separate the kids from who they came with, is because that's not their parents. Most of the time, it's not their parents that's coming in with them. And then if you were to keep them in the same cage as them, you know what I mean? Like, is that keeping them safe? Is it any safer than putting them on their own, or even being out there with their family? It's a big mess, at our borders, and I understand where you're coming from with that. I wish they had a different way of doing things, but just maybe not having them cross over at all. But it's hard to it's hard to tell a different country how to run their country. You know what I mean? And we can't take in so many people like that, because if our country gets overrun by illegals or people who are not here legally, you know what I mean? Like, is America really America anymore? You know what I mean? Like, we can't just pour in people and then just have them. I mean, we could make them all. Sorry, we can make them all citizens. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's my ringtone. Sorry, that's my ringtone. Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we can make them all legal. We can make them all legal citizens. But is our country at a state to provide for that many people? You know what I mean? Are we at a state to provide, shelter for a whole other country who wants to come over? You know what I mean? I know a lot of people from Venezuela, a lot of people from Cuba want to come over. It's because, the socialist country isn't working. That's why Florida in this election, went to Trump, is because, they don't want to see this country turn into a socialist country, and, and and people got to see that, we can't just let everybody in, you know what I mean? Because we won't be able to provide for everybody. We can't even provide for the people that's here already. It's like, how are we going to provide for those millions of people who's coming over? And for like the people who are already here, who are already working on, on getting their citizenship, I feel like, I agree with you. I feel like they should have a path to citizenship. If they're following the law and they're obeying the law and they're living, they're actually, living like Americans. You know what I mean? They're obeying the laws and stuff like that, following the rules. I feel like they should be granted, they should be granted, a path to citizenship, and, on that too, there's a lot of people who are waiting to be, to get here. There's people in the lines and the lists of the citizenship of, even trying to get their green card, and they're not allowed to come out here yet because, they haven't been approved yet. Is it really fair for them to wait years, to be able to get here? My parents waited years before they got their green card to be able to bring us out here, to the States, and be able to come, to the States and better their lives too. My mom's is an immigrant as well. My dad was an immigrant as well. He passed away. He's here in America. He's buried here in America. He's American, he's American by heart, and he's seen the dream, of coming to the United States and actually making a living, and also you're talking about the party too. I agree with you. The both of the political parties, they're political. You know what I mean? They're gonna say sweet things. They're gonna whisper sweet, nonsense into your ear to get you on their side. You know what I mean? But it's up to you to, to see what they offer. Like, I mean, it's not always gonna be a perfect candidate. There's never been a perfect candidate. People thought, Biden's gonna be a perfect candidate. People think, Obama was gonna be a perfect candidate. People thought, Bush was gonna be a perfect candidate. Everybody thought, everybody's going to be a perfect candidate, but it's what they do in office reflects what we should vote on. You know what I mean? And I felt like that's where I went with, with Trump and all of that. It's because of what he's done for the country so far, and the HBU, the HBUs, the historic Black colleges. He set a 10-year plan to where they're constantly getting funded, yearly. So that's one thing I look at, and I'm like, the social media is telling me, he's racist and all of that. But I see his acts and I see the things he's done for the communities, for the Black communities, even sitting down with, recent celebrities. I don't know if you've seen the news. He sat down with Ice Cube and Lil Wayne, trying to change the communities for the better, and then trying to stop this violence with the police and stuff like that, and also changing the economy for the suburban areas of the United States. I feel like there's a lot of work to be done, but a candidate who actually shows and keeps their promise is a candidate that I would want in the office, no matter what the mainstream media says about them. You know what I mean? You can do your own research and find out, oh, he's never done any of these things. He's never said any of these things, and he's not pretty with words. And that's one thing I like about Trump. He's not pretty with words. You know what I mean? He's not. Monica, Monica, he's not pretty with words, but he says it like it is.
Monica wants to say something right now.
He says it how it is. You know what I mean? I mean, if you look at all these other countries who, we all thought we was gonna go to war with, you know what I mean? They all tucked their tail and ran. You know what I mean? Trump's actually made, good trade deals and actually made, peace in the Middle East. And that's one thing we gotta look at when we look at candidates. I know Biden's gonna be president, but let's just hope that what he brings to the table and what he brings, for America, pretty much, we're Americans, in this country, and what he brings to us Americans hopefully benefits us more than than them. So I just hope that everything is all good and well. Yeah, that's my take on that.
Joe came hard.
No. I mean, Monica. I mean, if you want, I can send you some links and stuff like that of stuff where I found some of these, topics and stuff like that. Maybe you can do your own research.
I can.
Trying to.
I can put you guys in a separate room.
Or nothing. I'm just, it's just me.
For sure. All right, sounds good. Let's.
Well, I think everybody is granted, or everybody has their own opinion about these things. So I really can't say much about that. I do think that, I know what you're saying, because I know Ice Cube, I know Lil Wayne, I know 50 Cent, I know all of them have backed him up, right? But my question to you is this: how many, out of all these three, how many businesses do you think they have? Why wouldn't they want him? Right, that's what I'm saying. All of them.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they want him to be a part of a presidency? Because they need to secure their money. And I get it. Everybody everybody has the right to individually secure their money back. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It would be wrong for me to say that everybody doesn't. But I will say this, like you said, politicians are sweet words, right?
I mean, Trump's really not a politician.
Trump is a business person. He's a businessman, which tells me one thing and one thing only: he knows how to run a business. He knows how to gain people's loyalty. And right now, he's gained 3 men who are prominent Black men in the community, in the African American community, to support him. Why? Because he needs those votes. Did he get it? No. Why? Because people understand that. They see that. And I'm glad that they see that. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. I mean, like Ice Cube and them didn't really back him. It's just because he's president right now is the reason why they talked to him, and the reason why they went to him with their plan. And I'm pretty sure they'll try to go to Biden with their plan. Hopefully Biden accepts it, and actually, work on building a Black community, which, it's a big problem right now. If you see Chicago and New York and, all these big states, even California too is kind of bad as well, down the LA side. Not so much up here. I mean, we still have crime and stuff like that, but it's not as crazy. But yeah, I understand where they're going with that. But, elections, sometimes can be swayed a different way because of the influence that they do have, you know. But yeah, I mean, I stand where I stand, you know what I mean? And I respect your opinion as well and where you stand as well, you know. Overall, we just got to see for the best, you know, see what, you know, what America's got to bring and what, you know, each candidate's got to bring, you know. Hopefully they keep their promises. Hopefully some of their promises that say they're going to keep ain't kept, because there's some terrible promises. But overall, you know, we just got to see. We just got to ride that. You know, we just got to ride that wave.
Speaking of riding that wave, let's ride that wave to the next topic. Let's go.
That's what I like to hear.
Let's keep it surfing. Let's keep it riding. But that was a good topic. So that was a good debate for both of you guys. All right. So the next topic I want to bring up, let's talk about chronic health. All right. You know, diabetes, heart disease, you know, cancer. I think that's one of STDs. You know, just put everything in general. And I just want to give everybody's take on it. What does that mean to you? What is your experience with it, especially in your own life, your own family? And I know a lot of Polys, a lot of Tongans, you know, we see a lot of chronic diseases, especially diabetes, and people suffering with, you know, heart attacks and everything. So I'm just gonna get everybody's reaction and thoughts about it. And I started off with Monica. What's your thoughts about that?
Chronic diseases. I mean, they really affect everybody that comes from low-income communities, even middle-class communities. Why? Because we don't have a free healthcare system which supports us when we get sick. Two is the United States is ran by corporations at the moment right now. So these corporations involve all the food products that you buy from the store, all the food products that you buy from your friendly McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, and food franchises that you see along the way when you're driving back at home from work or when you're going home from work. And so these chronic diseases are they are supported by these corporations just through. Okay, let me give you an example. For instance, you're a person who works 40 hours a week. Maybe you're making $20 an hour. You have rent, you have to support a child, and then you also have to eat, right? So when you're driving down the way, all you can see is McDonald's. But then you also know that probably going to the grocery store and getting food, like say, for instance, like healthy vegetables or meat or fruit would probably be a better choice. But the McDonald's has a deal for like 2 burgers for $1, right? What you're gonna do is you're gonna go there and you're gonna get that food and you're gonna ingest it. You're gonna have your children ingest it. Then in your mind, you're thinking, I'm making a sensible financial choice by doing that. But you know, about 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, you go to the doctors and they've told you that you have diabetes. And now your medical bills has gone sky high, right? So the $20 that you make a year, an hour, doesn't actually support the healthcare that you actually need for the medicines that you need to get for your diabetes. And I want to say diabetes, why? Because there's a high percentage of Tongans that actually have diabetes or have died from heart disease. My father was a part of the statistic. Last year, he passed away from liver cancer. However, he was misdiagnosed for years upon years about being diabetic. He's a bigger man. And it's weird because, you know, I'd always ask him, like, hey, how are you? And how are you doing and stuff. And he would always tell me what I wanted to hear. I'm fine. I'm good. You're healthy because I'm healthy. I'm a healthy Tongan man. So you're really healthy. So you don't have to worry about this. One, because my mother was epileptic at the time. So he just felt like he was a healthier parent at the time. And I mean, what can I say? I mean, I would always see my dad periodically. My mom was my baby, cared for me the majority of my life. I met him when I was 18. And some men, fatherhood isn't what they're good at. It's not what they were taught. My dad didn't have a father as well. His dad died when he was about 16, 17. So, I had a relationship with him, but I didn't have a secure relationship with him where I could really ask him these questions and really get an answer, right? And so with my dad, him being a part of this statistic, which is a large statistic, he died at 58. So, which is fairly young, but it's actually, the statistic is actually at 60. Most Tongan men you'll see, they'll die from these chronic diseases, which would be cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, or some type of asthmatic relation. And so what does that mean? What do these chronic diseases mean to me? It means a lot. And it should mean a lot to a lot of Tongans or Pacific Islanders out there because it's real. And nobody wants to talk about it because it hurts. But really asking the question of, how can we stop this? What are the precautions? How can we realize this so that we can keep people in our community safe and healthy? That means a lot. And it should mean a lot to everybody else, but it's hard, and I know, because nobody wants to talk about it. So that's what it means to me.
All right. Okay. What were you, Fetty?
Chronic disease, man, when you brought that up, I was like a little choked because I was like, oh, here we go. We're dying out here.
Yeah.
We are dying out here. And, I really believe that some of our parents, they were just better off living in the islands because over here, we just live through systems and systems. And one of the systems is our nutrition. And it's so corrupted. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's so corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And as a first generation, I'm not sure if you guys are first generation, but I'll speak for myself. Trying to understand that our parents migrated from the islands here, they had to go to McDonald's. They had to go to Jack in the Box. They had to go to whatever they could afford for us to survive. Being a first generation, we understand that. And now that we recognize it and acknowledge it, we have to do something about it. And I really feel that it's our duty to break that cycle. And what cycle that is just our people dying from just eating a burger or just eating chips and just eating all of these factory made processed foods. And, we came from the islands where everything's natural. So chronic disease is such a huge factor to us polys because some of us are stuck in the cycle. Because like Monica mentioned, we got bills going on. We got all of this stress going on. It's just like, we're not going to pay attention to our nutrition because we're just trying to get through a day. And I just really, I just took in my health journey this year on really just attacking myself. It was more of a self-esteem thing, but it all connects. Because when I started doing it, my surroundings, my people around me started noticing that I wasn't eating like how I used to and that I was losing a little weight. Like, it affects them too. And then I think it all connects. like throughout the planet, because if we all eat good, there's going to be like less animals dying, there's going to be less of these companies trying to mess us up. Because I know there's some health associations that are sponsored by like McDonald's and Jack in the Box, and I find it hella funny because it's like, what the hell? Y'all supposed to be helping us, but y'all supporting the people that are killing us. So chronic disease is a huge thing. I just think us Polynesians, we need to take it more seriously. And I know it's more easier said than done, but it's such a huge thing. We need to take care of our health, and it's not just what we're eating. It's our mentality, spirituality, physicality, and yeah, chronic disease is a huge problem.
For sure. What you, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Polynesians are part of that statistic of, dying so early from, diabetes and, our weight being uncontrolled. You know what I mean? I know my pops passed away, rest his soul, but he passed away from the same thing. He was suka, and yeah, he passed away from it, and I did like some network marketing stuff way back when, and it was like a health thing. So one of our leaders there, they brought up, and my mentor, they brought up statistics for Polynesians, and more Polynesian, like 80%, I think it was 80% of Polynesians die between the age of 50 and 70 due to these complications with, the dieting and their health, and a lot of it can be changed. A lot of these things can be changed. It's not like a permanent thing. A lot of these diseases can be changed just by, eating healthier and living a healthier lifestyle. But it's also hard when, you have kaipolas every week, Puaka's always on the table, all of these things, and I feel like it's also part of our culture, is just to have these big feasts every single time, you know what I mean? And I also feel like educating our people and educating our future generations, because, our older generations, it's, they're older already, you know what I mean? They're not going to change just because, you're telling them to change and it's not stuff. I mean, some of them will listen, some of them will change, but I feel like, to change the statistics, we got to reach out to more of the younger generations, more like us, reach out to them, and we got to talk about it. We got to, actually see it. You know what I mean? I mean, with agriculture and livestock and all of that, being the future of, of how we process food in this country, it's not healthy. You know what I mean? You go to like Europe. I like watching like these travel videos and stuff like that. When you're going to Europe, or like you go to Japan, you go to, like, everything's so fresh, right off the sea, like how, like, back in the islands, straight out the sea. People actually go hunting. The livestock there is so healthy because they're free range. You know what I mean? They actually have big farms out there where they free range. Out here, our livestock is just, they're all, caged up and fed slob, and then they're butchered to kill because, the next, they got to get paid for, for the next order. I feel like we kind of got to, like, step back from agriculture, and it kind of take a little step back from livestock and all of that type of stuff, because, there's so much demands now. People are kind of hooked on it already. You know what I mean? We're hooked on going to the store, buying stuff that's already killed, and going home and cooking it, or going to McDonald's, it's already processed, it's already gone through the factory. You don't know what kind of chemicals they use in there to keep the food going for weeks, sometimes months. And, food ain't supposed to last that long. Food ain't supposed to last a whole month. You're supposed to, have whatever you have there, and you eat it there. You're not supposed to kill for a whole month. I mean, maybe a few days to have, but I feel like, you know, with the big country and the big demands that we have, and agriculture and livestock being, you know, and constantly like growing, you know, and the demands for it, you know, it's kind of hard to kind of take a few steps back and actually try, you know, to live this healthier life. It's hard because to try to live a healthier life is more expensive than, you know, trying to choose, you know, between going to McDonald's and, you know, going down to the grocery store and actually getting some fresh greens and stuff. Like, it's expensive to buy vegetables. Why? Why is it so expensive?
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like educating people about it, you know, because everybody has a story to tell, you know, with chronic disease and stuff like that, you know. Everybody has their own story, everybody's gone through it. And I feel like with the newer generations, they'll understand, you know, we got to eat with moderation. We can't just, you know, we can't just buy it just because it's there, you know. And I feel like that's what we're doing. We're buying it just because it's there. You know, you're hungry and you're like, oh, I can DoorDash here. You know, I can DoorDash there. The convenience of not leaving your home, or, you know, a McDonald's or Jack in a Box being right down the road from your house, you know, it's kind of like it's killing us in a way where, you know, we're not really seeing it. And I feel like, you know, if we can, create something in our community to you know, to have self-awareness, you know, on these things, I feel like that would help our community a lot. I feel like, you know, helping people understand the difference between, you know, all of these things would also help us in our community. And 80%, that's big. I think it's like 75 to 80%. You know, I don't know if it's grown. That number's grown from when I saw it. I think I saw it like 2 or 3 years ago. But that statistics is scary. You know what I mean? That's really scary. 80%, and we're like what, 1% in this country? 2, maybe 5. So small, yeah. Pacific Islanders are so we're such a small communities, but we're dying the most from these things, you know. And it's preventable, and that's the crazy thing. It's a preventable disease, but we don't want to prevent it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in my experience, I think to answer your question, Joe, it was like I think our population we're making less than 1%, but majority of us we die from chronic health and chronic diseases.
Yeah.
I know Monica. I know Monica. She works for a nonprofit called Taulama. I think I remember she shared something like she went to. She had a seminar with a lot of older Tongans, and they asked them about chronic disease, and I think she said a majority of them didn't even know what diabetes was, even though most of them had diabetes, which was kind of like crazy to me when I heard that. I think it's really. Go ahead, Monica. You want to
So it
join in?
was in
Yep.
East Palo Alto, and we do elderly support programs before COVID, and we have one program in East Palo Alto. It's on Wednesdays, and so what we do with these is, you know, we have food, we have a gathering, we have people come in, talk, to speak in Tongan to folks that you know, don't speak English, or maybe do, but Tongans primarily their language, about the different health disparities in Pacific Islander populations. Tongan, obviously, we're part of this realm, and so we have surveys that we pass out to folks, and this is how we kind of gain an understanding of what's going on. And so we had a good 15 folks there. And then we passed out these surveys asking them about, you know, do you know about diabetes? Who do you know that has diabetes? Really simple questions, not, those are the two main questions that we wanted to be answered, which is, do you know about diabetes? What do you know about diabetes? And who do you know that has diabetes? In the survey, 13 of them, we received 13 people saying that they were diabetic. We also received 15, the whole 15 saying, when we asked them what they knew about diabetes, they just said bad blood. That's scary. That's very scary. And it should be scary because that's not enough knowledge for somebody to know when they have diabetes that that's all they know about it, right? And so I just wanted to show
that's crazy.
Yeah, this is a book, and it's a health study
Yeah, it
book.
is.
Oh, that's cool.
And it just kind of just shows you can actually look it online. If you go to Pacific Islander Health Study 2016-17, it actually shows you the amount of work that's been done on Pacific Islanders and chronic diseases and what it looks like. So that
I think that's where I got that information.
Right.
On there.
Right.
I think it was that website.
Yeah, so the information that you did share, that's correct. And this is just for people to just, if you are interested in kind of just knowing more about it and want to see the statistics yourself, this is where you can go. You can see it online. You don't actually have to buy the book. It's online, and it's for everybody to see that's interested in finding out more about our health disparities. So, yeah.
Yeah, share something real quick, Will. I feel like that's a cool thing to have and to do. So our community really needs that. I feel like there should be more than just 15 people at that meeting. To be honest, be packing it with hundreds. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody in the Bay Area should be going to these programs. I feel like our community should. We should start doing these things. Should start. Encouraging people to come in. To learn about their health. That to be more open about it because it's scary. It's a scary thing. You know what I mean? That people don't want to talk about it because it's a scary thing. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to be looked down at because of their weight or stuff like that. I know the ladies, some of the guys too. They don't like to talk about their weight or talk about how their figure and stuff like that. But it's something we got to talk about. It's something that we can work on. Get people to the gym. Maybe we can have a community at the gym. Have a workout. Stuff like that. Workout sessions. Even come into to those programs where you can actually learn about your health and learn about the statistics and not being one of them. So I feel like that's a great thing, Monica, to have, especially for our community. And especially for us that's growing up here. I mean, I came to this country and I was skinny. You believe that? Man, I came here, I was like a model. Nah, maybe not. Maybe not that skinny, but I came here, I was pretty healthy, And then I seen all the snacks. I seen all the food. I wanted to try everything. Food's not a bad thing, but when you're just you're just constantly eating it, that's where the bad habit gets into it. And I feel like those programs are really great. Your programs are really great for our community to really help them out and really educate us about not being part of the statistic.
It's hard, it's really hard because it's a hard subject. Like you said, it's very touchy. And, like, who wants to talk about this when there's good food on the table? You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to do all that. That's weird, right? But it's a reality that we have to understand. And we have to understand this because you're right. We are indigenous people. Like, same with the Native Americans. We are indigenous people. I am first generation. Both my parents are from the island. My mom, she's Tongan, but she's from Fiji. and she was raised out there. My dad's just straight from Tonga, and they came out here. They were introduced to all this great food. It's a blessing that my mom's just into, eating right. But that's only because she had a condition where she had to. But with my dad, it wasn't the case. He was just about whatever, and I mean, who doesn't like food? Food is like something that's a necessity. It's not like drugs or alcohol. It's not. Food is like a necessity. You actually have to eat it to live. And it's just one of those things. But yeah. So this is a great thing to look at.
Food's almost like a drug now.
Right. It's a drug that you actually can't really break like that. You can, modify, but not actually break. And I think with my dad's passing last year, I was like, oh, I gotta hop on this bandwagon because this is not a I'm just like him. I look just like him. Thank God I don't look like the milkman, but I look just like him. Like that's my genetics. So I actually have to look at that. I have to really be on it because it can easily happen to me as it happened. So.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay healthy myself, but like you said, Monica, when you see that Tongan food on the table, it's just really, really hard.
Well,
it's really hard to push that away.
I don't even think it's Tongan food. I think that Tongan food is indigenous to us, so I think that Tongan food is fine, but working out is more important. It's more so the sugar that you get from soda, the sugar that you get from ice cream, the sugar that you get from bread. I don't. There's no actual research on this, but the sugar intolerance that I would say most indigenous people have, same as the Native Americans, or other people from indigenous places. Our sugar intake is a lot, like what our bodies can process for sugar is a lot less, say, somebody from a European country or from an Asian country. One, because there's rice, there's high carbohydrates. Most Pacific Islanders or indigenously were more able to eat like yams, like plantains. Plantains are straight from the earth. That's fine. It's the sugar intake that's a no-no. If you were to cut down your sugars, that's just from sugary drinks, that's just from desserts, from breads, chips, snacks, as others mentioned, then you would be fine. Tongan food is not the issue. Tongan food is actually the food that your parents and your parents' parents grew up with. So that's fine. But it's everything that's processed here. Like Joel said, you go to Tonga, you won't see. Obviously you're going to be heavier on a scale, but you won't see overall people. Like
obesity.
Maybe you will in the right, because there's more movement there. There's less processed products that folks are ingesting.
People are not just like eating every single second,
Right.
They're actually working, and then, they eat when they have to, out there.
They're more active.
Yeah. Right. So
like out here, you eat because you feel your stomach rumbling a little bit.
Right. The Tongan food is fine because that's native to where we are from. But it's more so that the processed foods that's out here, which would be the McDonald's, the Jack in the Box, the breads, the chips, the soda, the milkshakes, the dairy products. There's no cows in food. It may be up to a certain time, but this just it works for folks that it depends on your body. But I would say for folks who are just Tongan mostly, but you can't generalize. It just depends. Tongan food isn't really bad. It's the sugar that's involved. A lot of us are sugar intolerant. We don't really see that because we see sugar as like, oh, it's low in fat, great. But the low in fat products actually have higher sugar intake than talks that are not. Aspartame is a huge thing. Diet products suck, which is why most of us are probably in cancerish stages. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to go off something that Fetty said. That's why I really think that it's really important that we teach and make our physical health something that's really important, a priority in our culture. Because I know sometimes physical health is not the main priority in our Tongan community and in culture. But because one thing I do notice that a lot of people suffer. A lot of people suffer with mental health. A lot of people suffer with self-esteem. A lot of people suffer with anxiety, all these mental health diseases. But I remember what Fetty said. Like everything's connected, spiritual, mentally, physically, everything's emotionally, everything connected with your body. That if you're not taking care of your body to make sure it's healthy, then you're more prone to have when you're unhealthy, you don't feel good. I mean, we've all been there. When you're overweight, when you're not taking care of your body, you just don't feel good. You don't have the energy. You don't have any energy to stay focused to go do what you do. You're more likely to don't do anything and not being productive for your own life, and then your life doesn't turn out to be, you don't actually do the things you're supposed to do. So this is really, really important when you need to take care of your body, when you become healthy. I have some friends that are Tongan. They're really, they're obese, and then they suffer all these issues with mental health. And I always tell them, look, if you start with your body, then I think everything else will fall into place. And it's just sad to see a lot of a lot of people I know that they suffer, but they don't have the knowledge to realize that if they become more healthy, they try to go to see therapists, they try to all these things. But I always tell them, look, just start working out. And if you start working out, then everything will you just feel better and then do better in life. Fetty, what do you think? I know you've been quiet lately, so I end up the topic with you. What do you think, Fetty? Any last words?
No, not really. I think Monica and Joe
Hello? Can everybody hear me?
okay, I think I'm okay now.
Oh. All right, cool.
So, physicality, yes, that is important, but I think the most important thing is to focus on is your eating. Focus on what you're consuming, what you're putting into your body, and then worry about, okay, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta go walk.
Just be healthy.
Yeah, but mostly focus on your eating before you worry about your physicality, because I think that's what's more important is what you're putting into yourself, what you're consuming.
Yep. All right, so we got this last topic, and I think we're probably gonna just put everything together. For the sake of time. So, health, self-love, sex, sexuality. So pretty much I wanted to talk about maybe like the taboos of our culture, the things that we don't want to discuss. I want to end off our podcast with that. There's a lot of things in our culture that we don't like to discuss, but we know it's very important as far as our personal growth and happiness for an individual person. So I want to just ask you guys your thoughts and reactions and about certain things that in our culture that's considered taboo, that we don't want to talk about, but we know it's something that is very, very important as far as the overall well-being of not only you're talking about for a person. So I'll start off with you, Fetty. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think we have a lot of taboos. There's so many, but I'll bring up one.
Yeah.
And it's sex.
Yep.
I think that's a huge thing that our community really needs to talk about more. There's so many things that's tied to it. When I was in high school, I always looked at it as a very holy type of ritual, not really holy, but I wanted to save it for marriage. You know, I respected the action of it. And I think a lot of people need to talk about it more because, you know, there's self-esteem that ties with it. But I don't think a lot of people know about intentions, you know, people's intentions when they want to have sex. You know, there could be someone who's just really in love with someone, and when they do it, you know, maybe the other partner wasn't so in love with them.
Yeah.
And so I think basically I want our Polynesian community to have a really good experience with sex. I don't want them to have a tooted and booted experience. Me over, we just met one night, you know, one night stands. Just because it does affect you. It affects you in your body, but in your mind. And your mind is so important. And I see a lot of girls, even guys too, beat themselves up over sex. Um, so that's just one thing about our taboos. It's just getting more comfortable with it, and how can we attack it without people feeling awkward or uncomfortable. And then, you know, talking about the lights and the darks of it.
All right. Malo. All right. Joe, your thoughts on it? The taboos in our culture and things that we don't like to discuss.
What do you mean, like taboos? Like things we're not supposed to do?
But yeah,
Or
no,
like
taboos are, you know, things.
frowned
No,
upon?
things that are no things that our culture that they're not comfortable talking about, like mental health, like sex, those like taboos, things that, you know, we don't really, as a culture, we don't not really comfortable talking about. That's what I mean by taboos.
Like things I can't talk about. I mean, I'll talk about it with my friends, to be honest. but I don't know. I don't know anything that I've never discussed with anybody. I mean, I've done like my mental
I mean, like in public, like something that you wanted to talk in public.
about in public. That's pretty much everything. Like, uh, I guess mental health is one. You know, you're not really, you know, out there discussing about it. You know, I mean, yeah, we talk about it, you know, in private or with you know, or on the podcast and stuff like that. But like people really don't really express it out there, and I feel like it's kind of stopping us from our mental growth as well. So I guess mental health. I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking about any taboos right now.
All right.
I mean,
Okay, got you. Cool.
whoever, yeah. I'll just chime in on whatever.
Okay, we can. All right. What were you, Monica? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's very important. I think that there's too many stigmas on sexuality. One, because like I said before, Christianity gets taken into different perspectives, right? I think that everybody in our community genuinely wants to be good people, right? And so, we go to church, pray, see, we hear all these things. And I will have to say it's more so for women than men, okay? And we genuinely just want to follow this protocol to make sure that we're good adult individuals or young individuals. But the truth is sex is the reason why we're all here conversating on this Zoom call, okay? Sex is primarily for procreation, but it also can be for pleasure or whatever you want it to be. And the truth is for us to be tiptoeing around the subject is really stupid. It's really silly. It's silly. It's only silly because this is what happens. This is how people connect with each other to make more people, right? And I think that women get shamed on it more so than men. I don't agree with it. I think that everybody's sexuality is a part of their What you want to do with it is your own choice. I think that others' opinion on sexuality, especially with those in our community, is there. It's too hard. It's too it's too judgmental. Like seriously, it, like I think I mentioned in the beginning, like pregnancy was always the biggest issue. And it's funny though, because when you get to a certain age as a woman, they're like, why aren't you having babies? You know, like it's a really weird it's a weird conversation that people don't think. People make it weird. It's not necessarily weird, but people make it weird because socially we've been taught that sex is a bad thing if you're not married, but it's a good thing if you are. And the truth is that's not how life is. Life is unpredictable. You know, it it's unpredictable, and it doesn't really matter. Um, it doesn't really matter who you choose to willingly have sex with. What it matters is whether you said it was okay or not. That's what really matters. And
Mhm.
I don't have kids, but I know for a fact if I have daughters, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to make them feel bad about them. I'm definitely going to teach them about sex and STDs and how to be safe. I don't want to just not talk about it, because in our community that's what we do. We don't talk about it. Like, God forbid, I would never talk to my mom about it, even to this day. And I'm grown. But like, I'm definitely want to teach my children, more so my daughters, that it's okay. There's a safe way to do it and be safe, right? STDs
Mhm.
are a huge thing. The only thing you need to have a conversation with your children or whoever is about being safe about it, because STDs are real. So yeah, that's my input.
All right. Yeah, I think everybody has said some, sexuality. I think, me and Fetty, I know we had our last podcast. We did talk about it and we talked about it for a minute. And I do see that a lot, especially when I think what you said, Monica, about girls. I think it impacts more girls than guys as far as the judgment, the labels, and the criticism that comes with it when it comes to sex. But I think for me, the taboo thing that I feel like that I see that can definitely help a lot of kids uh, is I think encouraging kids to make their own choices in life. And it's okay to speak up and tell your parents what you want to do for your life and necessarily disagree with what your parents want for you. I think that's one of the hardest things as being Polynesian Tongan. We're raised to please our parents. The whakapapa. We're very respectful culture, and we always put our elders in a high pedestal as far as respect to listen to them. But for my own life and my own journey, my own experience, and then at the end of the day, nobody knows what makes you happy except of that individual person. And for me, it's just I see it too a lot of people, especially a lot of younger kids, and they allow the parents to make choices for their kids. We have the fahu, in Tongan, we have the fahu with your brother, sister issue, as far as like, example, naming your kids. All right. I know a lot of times in Tongan culture, your parents or somebody will name your kids. But sometimes I see a lot of, arguments between couples, especially Tongans who marry outside of the culture. They have to explain to their husband or spouse, hey, my mom has to name the kid. But the spouse is like, wait, I'm the father of the kid. Look, I want to name my kid this. I mean, and then they just find it really, really hard to tell their parents. No, I mean that's just one example, but that's as far as everything, the career choices, who they want to date, how they want to live their life, just being happy, finding their own happiness, peace for their own life. For me, when people, I have some young cousins that come and ask me for advice, I always tell them, hey, just do what you want to do. If you know what you want to do for your life to be happy, then go tell your kids, and then sometimes like, have some parents will come up to me and be like, "Hey man, why did you tell my son to not listen to me?" Then, well, I told him, look, I'm just telling your daughter, your son to follow their own heart, or what they feel like to do, once they're happy. Because I've seen too many people just grow up and listening to their parents, and they're just unhappy, and privately. I mean, they try to act like they're happy in public, but probably when they go home, they're suffering with they have all these mental health issues they have. So that's something I just see. I know a lot of parents don't like to hear that. They hear that to tell. They always want their kids to follow what they say. There's no questions. They don't want their kids to speak up. But I feel like that's something that's really important, especially for our generation, for the generation to come, to start making choices for their own life. And don't be afraid to tell your parents about what you want to do, of how you feel about yourself, and then because one thing I know about, when you make your own life choices, when it doesn't work out, it doesn't, you're not more likely, you're not going to be affected by it more than when you listen to somebody else and it doesn't work out. Because at the end of the day, if you let other people make the choices for your life, they don't have to live with the results. They don't have to live with the consequences if things don't work out. So you're the one have to end up living. You have to live with the results. You have to live with the consequences. So it's better off that you make those choices. So that way you can tell yourself, okay, it didn't work out, but that's okay. That's my choice. Instead of regretting, oh wow, And sometimes what I do see a lot is when kids listen to their parents, and when things don't work out, they end up resenting and blaming their parents for why their life didn't work out that way. And then now it causes tension between them, and then they actually fall apart in their relationship between the kids and the parents. And I just see this a lot. So yeah, that's one thing I see a lot, in not only sexuality, not only mental health, but just encouraging kids and Tongan kids to it's okay to disagree and do what you want to do for your own life to be happy. Yep. Anybody? Joel, do you have anything want to add on to that? You want to chime in?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much covered. I mean, yeah, it's important, to, with your sexuality and all that, just being who you are, and it's kind of hard to trust people sometimes. with your sexuality, with your sex life and stuff like that. It's hard. It's just not an easy decision to make. Especially, even with a guy, a lot of things can go wrong as well. So, I don't know, I guess find somebody. I'm old school, find somebody who, you really like and you want to spend time with, take them out, show them a good time, all of that other stuff. If it happens, it happens, but, I'm old fashioned, I like to treat the ladies, right, so I don't know. I guess we're kind of losing that part of it now. But with all the music videos and stuff like that, we see hoeing and tricking and all that. So it'd be nice to actually have guys actually are being chivalrous and actually taking their time out to know the person before advancing to any of that stuff. But call me old fashioned, but that's me.
Bali, toco suave. All right, Peti, any last thoughts you want to add on regarding everything?
No, but I see you, Joe. There's a lot like you.
All right, yeah, I think we've come to the end, guys. I think there's a lot more topics, but just for the sake of time, we covered one of the most important topics from everybody. I want to say coming in, taking the time, we had some good about. I think a lot of people need to hear a lot of the conversations that we had, and definitely, I think it will definitely make an impact, especially for everybody that's going to be watching this. And before we close it out, anybody got any last thoughts before we, everybody that's watching, before we end it out? Any last thoughts from anybody?
Be great, and Jesus loves you.
Amen. Amen. Malo, malo. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day.
All right, you guys.
Peace.
All right.
Nice talking
Bye,
to you.
y'all.
Bye, y'all.